Hi, it's Paul again from Acorn Academy. It's lovely to see you. We're going to talk about the law of attraction and the law of vibration, where literally thoughts do become things. I know that may sound a little off the wall to someone who's perhaps hearing it for the first time, but this isn't some mystical thing. This is science. This is absolute science. It's been proven. So if you keep thinking about a thing, it must come into form. So when we were talking about goals, if you keep thinking about something, whatever you're thinking, those results will come into form. So whatever results you have right now, they are based on whatever it is you're thinking. And the other thing about vibration is we learn how important it is to live in the moment. So you no longer connect with the energy of the past, and you no longer try to predict or connect with the energy of the future. You connect with the energy of the now. That may take a little while for that to get your head around that, but don't worry. But it's very important that you remember that all the time. Every time you hear someone talk about being in the now, I want you to really, really listen to what they're saying. And in time, you'll come to understand it, just as I did. So you may have heard of The Secret and the Law of Attraction, which was a wonderful book. And it talked about how you can attract everything you want in life. Now, the law of attraction is in fact a secondary law to the law of vibration. And that means that everything vibrates. Everything that we're looking at, which is energy, and everything of course is energy, we're all vibrating at a very high speed. So of course we can't see it, but we're vibrating, and we vibrate and operate on frequencies. Everything does, and everything is connected. So we're all vibrating at a very high speed of frequency, which means when we want to attract the energy, the things that we want, we simply have to start learning to act and be on the frequency of the things we want. We literally have to tune in. And this is something you can learn to do. So we live in an ocean of motion. So all knowledge, all the things you desire are actually already here. They're already here in the universe, or sometimes people call it the quantum field. Scientists call it energy. Everything is energy. And energy just is. And that means that when we have energy coming into us, it's neither positive or negative. So we can choose to make it positive or negative. We can control it with our amazing minds, that we're still really at the beginning of learning what we can do with it. So the one thing about being in the now is whenever you have feelings, and I'll explain what I mean by feelings a little bit later, where you almost get this instinct where there's something you feel you should do in line with serving your goal. The last thing you want to do is wait. Oh, I'm going to do this as soon as I've got the money. I'm going to do this as soon as I've got this ready. I'm going to do it in a couple of days because that will be much, much better. If you do that and you put things off, you're not living in the now. Living in the now means also acting in the now. And the universe, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, is going to be sending you messages, will be sending you vibrations on how to act and what to do when you're on the correct frequency to attract what you want. And if you don't act when you get these instincts, you're going to miss it. Because it's not that, somehow you have a vision board and you put these pictures up of these wonderful things that you desire, which is still great, but you don't just keep looking at it and they just float into you. You have to act, and you will receive messages through the universe, instincts that you'll actually feel it when you know you need to do something. And sometimes it's going to mean stepping out of your comfort zone. But if you do these things that feel uncomfortable at the moment, you will eventually find they will become a habit and you'll become comfortable with them. And then there'll be other things to go for. And then there'll be other things to feel uncomfortable about. This isn't somewhere where you arrive. This is a constant journey. So let's talk a little bit about law of polarity, because we've been talking about how everything is energy. The law of polarity is a law that I find really, really cool, because I remember when people would talk to me and they would say, always look for the good in everything. And I used to think, that is so good. What nice people, what positive people, but how can they be good in everything? And then when I went on this program, I finally was able to put all the dots together. You see, anything that is energy, anything that is, everything has to contain the same amount of positive and negative energy to exist. Things just can't be here unless it's a certain amount of, well, balanced positive and negative energy. So if something exists and you initially sense negative energy, there has to be the same amount of positive energy. You just haven't seen it yet. So when somebody says, let's look for the positive, there really is a positive. There has to be. And it's just a matter of choosing which one you decide to look for. So when anything happens, there is always an equal, balanced, positive side to it as well. It's physics. So as much energy for negative as positive. So you can look at poverty and riches are an offspring of thought, but they're equally balanced. So it's all about when you're sensing energy and you're creating your desires and things are happening to you, and it depends on how you apply your mind to what's happening. And if you plant flowers in your thoughts, in your garden of your mind, you're going to get flowers. And if you plant weeds, you're going to get weeds. So if you continually look at everything which exists on its negative side, ignoring that there is a positive side, then you're going to get weeds. Ask and you shall receive. So you keep asking for what you desire and looking towards the positive of everything that's happening to you, looking for the advantages, looking for the positive things out of all. Sometimes it means you may learn something, you may fail, you may make a mistake, but that step, that mistake, that failure that you made is on the path to your goal. You see, every step you make to your goal isn't always going to feel like you've succeeded. It's not success after success after success. Sometimes it's a learning experience after learning experience. And those learning experiences can actually be more successful in the long run than successes. Something to think about. So remember the law of polarity. And when you're thinking about a vibration, we need to do things when we feel in harmony. All the things that are in harmony with ourselves. Just like when you get on a frequency for a mobile phone or you're finding a radio station, and you know, there are radio stations I know Janet likes and there's ones that I like. And you know, we get on certain frequencies to get the music that we feel that fit us. And it's the same thing. For the things you're going for, you need to get on the frequency of those things. Now, many people understand about how there's, you know, waves of frequency for phones and radios and TV and all these other things. But many people still finding it a challenge to understand that when you're manifesting what you want from your own thinking, it's the same thing. You're getting onto a frequency. So we operate on 3 levels: a spiritual level, an intellectual level, and a physical level. And the spiritual level is always the highest level. Okay, the physical is the slowest of them all. That's the one that is really acting from, it's not in touch necessarily with the universe, which is very much the spiritual. And the intellectual is when you are getting in touch with the possibilities of what you desire, and you start to take these fantasies and think, hey, you know, maybe I could do this, maybe this could happen, maybe the things that people are telling me, if I keep sticking into it and I do these positive things and I start creating these new habits, it can happen. And of course the instructions then go to the physical and they just follow up the actions basically. So you always need to be living from your goal. You need to become what we call aware, consciously aware. So you start to become aware of your habits, what things serve you, what things don't serve you. Whereas before, you know, it's a little bit like driving a car. I mean, once you've got used to driving a car, you don't really think about it. I mean, there are thoughts, and you know, you're looking in the mirror, you're stopping at the lights, you're doing all these things, but they've become automatic, habitual programming. And these are the things we want. We want to find all the habits that are going to serve us in getting our goal and keep doing them until they become habitual. So we simply have habits that serve us, and we slowly get rid of all the habits that don't serve us. And we get rid of the old habits exactly the same way as we get in the new habits, by repetition. The old habits came to us as we were children, and we heard these things over and over and over again, and we can replace them in exactly the same way. One of the important things about the law of attraction and the law of vibration is repetition, habit affirmation, so putting down and affirming all your new habits, but also very much so journaling. There are 2 key times in the day where our thought waves are in transition. One is in the morning, which I guess you won't find that a surprise, because so many people say about getting up in the morning and studying. And the other time is in the evening, just before you're going to bed. Again, our thought waves are in transition. And in the evening, it's a great time to do journaling. It is such a good idea, and so many people, you know, they don't bother with it, or they start with it and then they stop. But if you can do journaling, it's an amazing discipline, which in time you will find will have a profound effect on you. So journaling means putting, you know, it doesn't have to be War and Peace. You just fill out a page in a, you know, a mid-sized book. It's not A4, and you put some thoughts about the day. You put down the things where you felt that you were aware, you were thinking about what you were doing, you were focusing on your goal, you were in the moment. And times where perhaps you slipped out, perhaps there was habits you noticed that you'd performed that you knew weren't serving you. But the great thing is, you are starting to become aware that they were there. And once you become aware, you can start working on them. So you just make a journal note about them. And you put down about some gratitudes. So 3 to 6 gratitudes on things that you are grateful for now. And they could be anything, absolutely anything that you are grateful for. It could be gratitude that you have a roof over your head and warm food and clothing and a place to sleep, which are amazing things to be grateful for, because there are so many people in the world who don't have those things. And you can also think of 3 to 6 things of the things that you are grateful for that are coming. And when you are grateful for them, you speak about them and you write them down with gratitude in the present moment. Because all the time you're talking about the present. So even when you're talking about the gratitudes now and the gratitudes are coming, you talk about all of them in the present. And then you write down perhaps some thoughts for the day, some things that, maybe some wins that you feel you had, maybe 5 or 6 of your key items that you want to work on the next day. And another great thing would be to put them in order of priority. So when you go to sleep, you're thinking about these things, that the wins you've had, the awareness you've had, the things you've worked on and gone well, the things you need to work on, and it's all going through your subconscious mind as you sleep. And you're also thinking about the things you're going to do the next day. It's a great exercise to do. Journaling's very, very helpful to you. Okay. There's so many people I hear about where people will say, most people are not aware of this, are not aware of gratitude and the power of the mind. Well, I think there's an awful lot more people who are starting to become aware of it. We normally talk in numbers of 95% of the people are unaware. They're not even thinking. They don't even think that they're thinking. It's just crazy. But I think more and more people are beginning to understand the power of the mind. So I really strongly suggest you study this and learn more. Get in touch with me. We'd love to have a chat, because this is a really important subject, and I think more and more people are learning to understand it. Now, when you're not in harmony, you're not on your frequency, all sorts of things can happen. You can have mental difficulties, which I did. You can have all sorts of suppressed feelings, which I did. You can feel anxious, I felt that too. And you feel in a state of dis-ease. So just like the word disease, but it's dis-ease. You're no longer at ease. And your whole health and mind and body can be affected by the fact that you're not doing what your mind is in line to do. We all have our own special gifts. And when you're not in harmony, you can literally be in dis-ease. So being in harmony is a mental activity. It's not thinking. So it's not hooked up to see, smell, taste, touch, hear. All of those things are like motorways. And just like some motorways that we have today, I think of the M25 straight away, they get really clogged. And of course, when these motorways of information are clogged and they're coming into your mind, you find that you are not able to focus on things. You'll keep chopping from one thing to another, and you'll get a feeling of feeling overwhelmed. And in fact, a lot of these senses, see, smell, taste, touch, hear, what we call the outer senses, are actually things that we should ignore. They're not the senses we should be taking a lot of our information, particularly our intuition, about how we should be acting, how we should be thinking, running our life, and certainly how we should be going for our goals. They're filled with false information. It's a little bit, if you think about the news, it's all, for the most part, not good. So we have a very, very busy mind. But does that mean we're not thinking? Well, actually 2% of the people are currently thinking, 3% think they're thinking, and 95% would rather die than think. It's like, oh God, I can't be bothered to think about all that. Let's give you a picture I want to put in your mind, because we all think in pictures. And I want you to draw an imaginary stick person. And what I want you to do is draw one big circle and then put a line through the center. and then draw down like a neck, just one line, and then a smaller circle, and the big circle represents the head, just for the purposes of explaining how your mind works. It's just so you've got a picture, because as I say, we all work in pictures, just so you've got a picture, a representation of how your mind works. So you've got a big picture with a line going across, and you've got a little stick neck, and then a small circle, which is your body, and then of course you've got four, 2 legs, 2 arms just sticking out. So the top part, which is your mind, now of course your mind is all over you, but anyway, is what we call your conscious mind or your thinking mind. That's the top part. And this is the part that rationales the information, it deciphers, it filters the information that's coming into your mind. And the second half, the half below, is what we call the subconscious mind. Sometimes they call it the emotional mind or the feeling mind. And this part of your mind responds to whatever information it receives. It cannot tell the difference between a lie and truth. So whatever information the conscious mind passes down as an instruction to the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind is going to have a feeling, an emotion about that particular subject, and then that feeling is going to be passed to your body and you're going to act. And depending on how you're feeling about it will depend on your results. So the conscious mind accepts or rejects, and the subconscious mind accepts everything it's given. Okay, so when we have current paradigms or habits, as they're called, or current programming, which we inherited, we talked about this in goal setting, you inherit it in your little life, then your conscious mind will send instructions to your subconscious based on these paradigms, based on these beliefs and this programming that you were given and that you were completely unaware of. That's then passed to the subconscious, and then you act upon it. And you don't even know sometimes. You'll do a certain thing, you'll think, why did I do that? I don't want to do it. So the body is an expression of the mind. Habits are controlling your vibration and how you feel about them. If you don't like your current results, we can change them. I can show you how to change them, just in the same way that someone helped me and showed me how to change them. The paradigms can be overwritten just in the same way as they were written in the first place, and can be changed from the old one to the new one. So when the paradigms are changed, therefore that dictates your actions. When your actions change, then your results start to change. Think about what you're truly interested in. When we were talking about goal setting, we said to you how it has to be something you really love to do, something you're really excited about, because that gives you joy and wisdom. And we all have these unique gifts and abilities. I love helping people, facilitating the mindset program and helping them to put together the dots of how our mind works, just in the same way as I made that journey. That's something I feel completely in harmony with, and it gives me joy to serve people and help them through that jungle of the mind, and then have the freedom to learn how to get whatever they want to do. So never ever operate by your outer senses, the smell, taste, touch, hear and see. I mean, if you think about it, a dog or an animal can do all those things. Now, I actually love animals particularly, and I love dogs. And I have a personal thought that, they actually have some other faculties as well, but that's just me being a big softie about dogs. But if you think about ourselves as humans, we have some amazing internal faculties that help us to get onto higher frequencies. And these internal faculties are things like imagination. We can invent things. we can imagine something, we can put a picture in our mind, we can then build it or create it, and we can make it happen. We've got intuition. You get a feeling sometimes when you meet somebody, or you go in a restaurant or a shop or anywhere, and you get this feeling of intuition, and you get vibrations, and you think, and you can start to pick up intuition from other people, and you get intuitive instincts and messages from the universe directly to your intuition. And many times we'll get these thoughts, and perhaps we'll think to ourselves, oh, that's just silly, where did that come from? But as you learn to become more aware of your thoughts, you realize that when your intuition is operating, then many times it's sending you messages to act and how to achieve whatever it is that you're going for. And of course, the will and very much discipline is so important, because when you become aware, it's your will that determines your thoughts and how you change your habits, and determines all the things that you know that you need to do. And it's your will and your awareness of thought that you can keep you on track. Your perception. So you're able to perceive things, sometimes look at things from a completely different angle. You're able to look at different situations and see the positive, see how you can change it to your own benefit. Your memory is very important faculty. And of course, you start to memorize all of the new things you're learning. You start to memorize about your awareness. You start to remember a whole group of new experiences in line with the person that you want to be, and the actions that you want to take, again, in line with your goal and where you want your life to go. And of course, your reason. So you can reason through how you want to get to where you want to get to, how you can achieve these things. So it's all these internal faculties is where you need to be taking your information from. You really need to ignore all the outside stuff. Okay? Gratitude is the vibration to gracefully receive. Gratitude is an extremely important vibration, particularly if you can also work on being mindful of the present. If you're mindful of the present and you're in a state of gratitude, it's like setting an open doorway for all the things that you want that are on your frequency of your goal, and it's almost setting up the runway for them to come in and land. And gratitude is extremely important. Serve you. If you find, as you're going for your goal, you sit down and make a list of all the things that you feel are not serving you, then take that list and literally flip it. So just like with the law of polarity, take this sentence and then literally write the opposite. I'm so happy and grateful now that I, and you're writing the complete opposite. Take those habits, start working on one or two at a time, and just keep writing them down, maybe 20, 30 times every morning. And yeah, it's doing your lines, just like I don't think they do lines now. They'd probably just cut and paste it at school. But I mean, when I was a kid, if you got in trouble, you had to go do your lines. And how did I realize then that in fact it was actually doing you good? So if you take your new habits and just write them down, and don't scribble them down, write them down and actually feel it as you're writing them down. And if you keep doing this through repetition, and if you can record it and even do it with your voice and let yourself hear it, and auto-suggestion, actually go up to a mirror in the bathroom. It feels a bit stupid when you first do it, and just say the affirmation of the positive habit you want to create. And if you keep doing it and you keep focusing on it, that habit will change. I promise you, if you stick to it, it will change. When you've got that one changed and it becomes a new habit, then you start on the next one and the next one. And you keep thinking, as we said about goal setting, about the person that you feel you need to be, the person you will be when you've already achieved that goal, which of course has already happened. So all the time you're focusing on the things you need to do. And by the way, once you've finished flipping, doing the opposite of all your habits, take the list of your old habits and burn them. I mean, you could just scroll it up in a ball and throw it away, but I did that and it wasn't the same. It didn't work as well. It was only once I burnt it. I mean, do it safely, but go outside and burn that list. And it's a great mental exercise to just cut it loose, cut all that old habit loose. And it feels really good. The law helps those who help themselves. So remember, when you've got your inner faculties sending you messages and there are opportunities which will start to present themselves to you, you've got to remember again, you're not just sitting there and it's not just going to appear. It's like pulling back a bow. You know, when someone, pull back a bow, an archer, he's still got to pull it back to send the arrow off. So there's still action that has to be taken. And this is where a lot of people forget. They just think that if they keep saying it, this thing will somehow miraculously appear. That's not how it works. You will get messages, particularly from your faculties or to your faculties, telling you that there's an opportunity here. You will sense it, and you're going to have the courage to take that action. Okay. We're going to talk more about building your own self-image and about belief and a lot of other things in the next session. But the one thing I just want to finish off with, and that is get yourself into a good morning routine. Every morning I get up and I get up at 6:30. I get up at 6, I feed the cats, our two little boys, Archie and Sammy, and then I grab a cup of tea and I sit down and I study for at least an hour, and I do my affirmations. I do my I write them all down, and I do some reading. I watch some videos. There's loads of great YouTubes, and I sit and then I do some meditation. And it's great to do that every morning because, as I say, your mind's in a form of transition. Meditation is very important as well. And you just sit there and you just imagine yourself, empty your mind and imagine yourself in your goal. Or sometimes you just meditate and you can have music on, there's all sorts of YouTubes and things you can play, by just sitting there and just empty your mind and feel nothing, think about nothing. And thoughts will come to you. It's really, really interesting. It takes a little bit of practice, but the more you do it, having a meditation in the morning is so incredibly powerful, and I really do suggest you start giving it a go. So have courage, have faith in the process. Most of all, become aware of what you're thinking. And these things really do work. They are real. They're as real as I'm sitting here talking to you today. And of course, when I was working through them, I had a coach. I still have a coach. And it does help to have someone to facilitate and support you, particularly if they've already been down that path. So if you would ever like to have a discovery call and chat with me, so we can get to know each other and see if you would like to take that journey with our courses, I would love to be your helper and facilitator and support. And I'll make sure that some links are put down on this post with my Calendly link and some other information about our courses. All right, thanks very much for your attention. Take care now. Bye.